What took nature eons to create has been irreversibly changed by the arrival of people. "800 years ago, the people who lived in the Everglades poled in their dugout canoes through the sawgrass plains. They left their coastal and river camps to hunt. Using spears that were tipped by shark's teeth, they trapped birds, fish, turtles, and alligators. They adapted to the demands of nature without changing the environment. But since the beginning of the 20th century, man has sought to turn the water and land of the Everglades to his own advantage. Canals were dredged, land filled, and agriculture thrived. The development of the land and construction of new cities has reduced the size of the Everglades and permanently changed the water flow of the River of Grass. The arrival of people meant that pollution from agriculture, cars, and towns was washed with the rain into the wetlands. Over time, other threats to the system have emerged. New types of plants are replacing the old. They are taking over the habitat, eliminating native vegetation, and destroying parts of the Everglades. Human control of the water levels in the marsh have changed the natural cycles of wet and dry seasons and affected wildlife's ability to survive. The wetlands, which were once so dependent upon natural cycles, now relies on man for its water and its survival. Understanding the threats to the Everglades and solving them is critical if the wetlands are to continue. To study these threats, scientists are using new tools to help the marsh before it's too late. Satellites are becoming a vital source of information in the fight to save the wetlands. Burkett Neely, the manager of the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge, explains.
The refuge is the last vestige of northern Everglades habitat. It's surrounded on the east by the urban area and on the west by agricultural. The problem comes in when the water that's pumped in at the northern end flows through the refuge and out the south end. This water is heavily laden with nutrients, and that causes changes in the northern Everglades habitat. This, in turn, affects the wildlife that's found here. And what we're trying to do is to stop the nutrient loading in the refuge. We're doing that using new tools, such as the spot satellite, to give us images so that we can differentiate between the invading vegetation and the native vegetation.
Satellites like SPOT now offer wildlife managers an exciting new way to collect data that can answer some important questions.
Some of the questions that we ask are, what type of vegetation or how much of this particular type of vegetation do we have? Or how many alligator holes do we have?
By using the satellite, biologists can obtain basic information about the nature of the habitat in weeks that in the past took months or even years to obtain. But how does the satellite find changes in the habitat from almost 500 miles above the planet? What makes this technological miracle work? Satellites are an eye in the sky, which take pictures of light that is being reflected from Earth. Every part of our planet receives light from the sun, which is either reflected into space or absorbed by the Earth. Some of this light is invisible to the human eye, but not to the sensors in the satellite. Each part of the Earth and the vegetation on it reflects light in its own way. When the satellite takes a picture of the planet, some types of vegetation in the picture might appear red, others yellow. Cities may be another color. Plants, trees, water, buildings, everything has a characteristic signature of light that is recorded by the satellite's instruments. After the satellite records the images, they are sent to Earth in the form of numbers. Ground stations collect these signals from the satellite and relay the data to computers. By using numbers, which represent different colors of light, computers can construct a picture of the Everglades as seen from space. Each picture is composed of thousands of very small elements called pixels. A pixel is the smallest image that the satellite can pick up. The satellite that surveys the northern Everglades can capture a pixel or area on the ground that is about 10 to 20 meters square, or about half the size of a tennis court. Once the biologists have the pictures from the satellite, they can travel out into the field to compare the colors in the pictures to what is actually happening on the ground. Because the pixels can pick up such a small area, scientists can identify what color belongs to which plant species. The colors of the spot satellite photographs are vivid, but there is a warning in the pictures.
After seeing the satellite image on the color monitor, we go to the field to field test or to identify the things that we saw there. The cattail, that was the large red area on the south end of the refuge, has been expanding. The cattail is not a desirable vegetation. It actually is indicative of poor water quality.
Cattails are invading areas where sawgrass used to live. The satellite tells us that in just 2 years, the cattails have increased their territory at a rapid and alarming rate.
The root system on the cattail is rather extensive. They spread through the nutrient-rich water, taking up the oxygen, which is bad for the fish and bad for the invertebrates, the snails and smaller animals.
Cattails are growing here because poor quality water from agricultural areas is flowing untreated into the northern Everglades. And cattails can grow in water that is concentrated with fertilizer and nutrients, while the sawgrass cannot. If they grow too far and too fast, they can destroy the sawgrass and change the habitat forever. The satellite has also confirmed the disastrous spread of exotic Melaleuca trees. Plants or trees that are introduced into the wetlands by people, not nature, are known as exotics, and they pose a serious threat to the ecosystem. The Melaleuca tree was introduced from Australia into the wetland system. These trees drink up water in tremendous quantities. They squeeze out native trees like oaks or red bays, and as they grow, they destroy the habitat for all living things who depend on the Everglades. The satellite tracks the Melaleuca and helps pinpoint the most essential areas to target for eradication of this threat. The Everglades is as important to the survival of man as it is to the wildlife that lives there. For people, it is an essential part of the water system, a vital source of fresh water. It is managed for drinking, agriculture, and our cities. It is also a refuge from the busy pace of modern life, a place to fish, ride an airboat, or simply relax. For the wildlife, it is a unique habitat, a home to plants, insects, and reptiles. For birds, it offers an essential nesting area and feeding ground, and it is one of the few areas where aquatic life is abundant. For America, it is a treasure without price. There will never be another Everglades, another wetlands of such splendor. It is a special place where the sky and water meet, where an alligator carves out a home in a sawgrass plain, where suddenly a great blue heron rises majestically from the marsh. Yet it is no longer the cycles of nature that control this river of grass. It is in the hands of people. Perhaps in the search for solutions to the problems of the Everglades, some of these answers will emerge from space. Answers which will help to save this wetland in peril for ourselves and our children.
We could lose everything, yes, we certainly could. I wouldn't enjoy that sort of thing, but someone who doesn't know anything about what has been lost, to him, what would he miss?